Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Bob Delaney, Executive Director of the Institute for Labor Studies and Research. Labor Vision, a production of the Institute, focuses on topics of importance to working Rhode Island families. We hope you enjoy this evening's edition.
Good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Jim Riley. I'll be your host today, and I am delighted to have as my guest the leader of the working families here in Rhode Island, George Nee, president of the Rhode Island AFL-CIO. Delighted to have you here today, brother.
Great to be here, Jim, and thank you for all you have been doing and have done in the labor movement, and this is a new role for you, and I think you're going to do great.
Gee, I hope to do a lot more. George, it's been an interesting year. We're getting to the end of 2017. It's been an interesting year nationally and an interesting year locally. Do you think you can give us a recap of 2017 from a labor perspective?
Actually, it's been an encouraging year. There has been some significant organizing victories. There have been some contracts achieved. For example, Local 26, who after a long fight with the Renaissance Hotel in Providence, achieved their first collective bargaining agreement. The UNAP Union, United Nurses and Allied Professionals, both got a new contract for about 400 new workers that organized at Kent County Hospital, and also achieved a contract for the people who had already been there. So there has been some growth in the labor movement actually in Rhode Island, which we're very happy to report. On the legislative front, we had a mixed year, to be honest with you. Let me take the bad things first, and then I'll go with the good things. We had a tremendous victory for our brothers and sisters in the teaching profession and in the school systems, the support staff, when the legislature passed legislation for allowing for a contract to continue after it had expired. This has been a concern. We've seen Warwick, we've seen East Providence, where contracts have expired and management has implemented unilaterally changes in the working conditions. Great victory, solid victory. I want to thank the leadership of the House and Senate for that, and the members who voted with us. And then, unfortunately, Governor Raimondo vetoed that bill. That was really extremely disappointing. This has been something that the leaders in our municipal workers and teachers have been fighting for 20 years. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like, it's either that or binding arbitration, but there has to be some reasonable solution to a contract when it expires.
You know,
Very
George,
disappointing.
George, I was a meat cutter. I worked for Stop and Shop and was involved in many negotiations before I became a rep for that union. And we would negotiate our contract as it got close to the expiration date. And if we went over the expiration date, the company Stop and Shop and us would simply just keep moving forward, extend the contract until it was over. That doesn't seem very complicated to me.
It's not very complicated. It's very common sense. You have to have, and what happened is it's a few attorneys out in the renegade business community went to some of these school committees and said, hey, wait a minute, just keep bargaining, get to the end of the contract, and then you can implement it whatever you want. And they did it in East Providence, which was the test case. So we knew we had to do something. So that's on the agenda for next year, either the continuing contract bill that hopefully the governor would sign this time, or binding arbitration. The other disappointment for 2017 was that we were very, very hopeful that the PAWSOX legislation would pass and we would get that new stadium built. We would be on our way to keeping the PAWSOX in Rhode Island. Unfortunately, ran into some glitches, and that is on the horizon for 2018. The Senate, 2 weeks ago, or last week, put a bill out. Hasn't voted on it, and then hopefully that'll be voted on the first week of January. Now, on the positive side, January 1st of 2018, the minimum wage in Rhode Island will go from $9.60 to $10.10. That's 50 cents an hour more. I think it's important to put it in the context of nationally. The minimum wage for our country is $7.25. So our minimum wage is almost $2 more in Rhode Island than it is across the country. We're still behind Massachusetts, although our minimum wage is also, with the bill that passed, will go up to $10.50 on January 1st of 2019. We were successful in getting a bill passed and signed to create worker cooperatives, which was a very important initiative from our friends from Fuerza Laboral that hope that they can do this to maybe get some economic justice for people, particularly working in the cleaning industries and the janitorial fields. So that was pretty significant. Let me check my notes here, Jimmy. Earned sick time. Going to effect July of 2018, workers will get 3 paid sick days per year, then it goes up to 4 the following year and 5 the year after that. And a very significant bill that passed, went into effect this year, will prevent employers in the restaurant and hospitality industry from taking the check, when someone skips out on a check, which was an awful thing to do. But let's say that's $150, $200. Restaurants have been charging the wait staff that money.
They've been stealing that money.
Yeah, they've been taking it out of their pay, so that it will now be illegal. So from that perspective, we did make some progress to help workers' lives, and particularly the minimum wage, 50 cents times 40 hours, that's $20 a week. For a lot of people, that's significant.
That's great. Interesting thing about the restaurant thing. The restaurant customer steals the receipt and steals the food, basically.
Right.
And then the employer steals the money from the waiter or the waitress.
Right,
Yeah,
right. And this was happening quite frequently. And now that'll be a violation of the law, and the owner will no longer be able to do that.
Right. So there's some good and some bad, but
Yep.
mostly good, especially on the organizing part, and that's how we grow.
That's how we grow.
And I was an organizer for many years.
I know that.
how
And
important
one of the
that is.
best, I'm told.
That's
I know.
You must have been talking to me.
I
George, when I was 18 years old back in 1968, my brother Mike and I got involved in the anti-war movement. We were opposed to the war in Vietnam, so we got involved in it. First time I'd ever really been involved in that sort of respect.
Yeah.
And we found out how important it was through that whole process, how important it was to have the right people sitting in the right chairs when people are voting, whether it's in Washington, D.C., whether it's in Providence City Hall or Foster Town Hall.
Correct.
It's important to have the kind of people there that devote themselves to the needs and concerns of working people and the kinds of issues that we care about. So do you think it's a good idea for union members to be involved in their communities?
Well, we live in a democracy, and we are very grateful that we live in a democracy, and we honor those who have fought to maintain this democracy and grow this democracy. But it doesn't work unless people participate. And I think it is the solemn obligation of every working person when they turn 18 to go register to vote and to participate in the system and to vote, but also to get involved, not just leave it at that. Run for office yourselves if you're not happy with the way things are. Help somebody who you believe is the best person for your interests. So we get criticized occasionally because they say, well, you guys have too much power. You're too involved. You can't be too involved in the democratic process. It is our obligation to those who went before us that allow us to continue to live in a democracy. So yes, the labor movement takes political action extremely seriously because we know that the decisions that are made, whether it's Washington, Smith Hill, your local council, they affect your lives. They affect the taxes you pay. They affect what rights you have, particularly public sector. Bargaining doesn't come from the national government. It comes state by state. There are a lot of states, believe it or not, in 2017, going into 2018 in the United States of America, where public sector workers, teachers, firefighters, police, don't have the right to bargain. They don't have the right to sit down with their employer and engage in collective bargaining. And that's because that legislature or that governor doesn't believe in it. So, you know, this is who we are, and this is what we should continue to do.
Excellent. And you have some programs at the AFL-CIO regarding activities of individuals who go out and starting groups in different parts of the state.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, we take it very seriously. We break down our membership. We communicate with the membership. We make sure they're registered to vote. We make phone calls on election day. We send literature. So we participate in the political process. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you certainly lose if you don't participate.
Absolutely. So what's on the horizon for 2018 in the Rhode Island labor movement?
Well, we have a number of things, some unfinished business. I would put the PAWSOX as unfinished business. Hopefully we can get some legislation early in 2018 to keep the time there. Secondly, we will be pursuing getting the continuation of the contract legislation or binding arbitration. We need to increase the unemployment insurance benefits for the people, the maximum benefit. So we'll have a full plate in 2018, and we'll be very involved again in all the budgetary issues to make sure that there's some fairness for nursing home workers and the people who serve the developmentally disabled. So we'll be busy.
Great. George, voters in Alabama today are choosing their next United States Senator. This has been a very important election for obvious reasons, and there's a lot of passion going into this race. But you and I, regardless of what happens tonight with the voters in Alabama, tomorrow you and I are going to feel very warm and very happy because George Nee, as you know, tomorrow morning you and I have reservations on the Gingerbread Express.
We do.
Tell our friends about it.
The Gingerbread Express is just a wonderful, wonderful example of the generosity and commitment of the labor movement to children and to students to make their lives a little better. The NEA Rhode Island, one of the teacher unions along with the run this program called the Children's Fund. And one of the things that they do is at the debate school up in the Olneyville section, they've been doing this for, I believe, over 20 years. Every single student in that school from kindergarten to 6th grade gets a customized, personalized bag of toys and clothing. Not just off the rack. I mean, we're talking about specialized buying. And the teachers donate the money and the time, and the Teamsters Union deliver all these gifts from the NEA headquarters over to the debate school. They do this Children's Fund, and they help out students all over the year with the eyeglasses, coats, all the kind of things that would help them to continue to learn when those things become impediments. But this is a special day, and when you see 400 students sitting there on the floor, very disciplined, and with their eyes wide open, and the commitment that the teachers and the police and the fire and the Teamsters and have had to just bring a little joy and a little happiness into people's lives, it leaves you feeling there's hope in this world, and we're going to make this a better world because of activities and people like this.
That's wonderful. A lot of our unions are involved in different activities. This happens to be one that really, really shines. And this is going to be my first Gingerbread Express this year. I had a couple of kids that I bought for, and I'm looking forward to seeing them open their gifts. Okay, that's it for Labor Vision today. George, I want to thank you for coming in today. I think it was a great show, and we hope to see you next time on Labor Vision.
Just like to take a minute. We did have Mayor Lawser in attendance earlier today. He had to leave for another commitment. I had told him about 9:30, quarter to 10, So we obviously blew past that timeline. So we'll try to stay on with the rest of this. I'd like to welcome our superintendent of schools, Mr. Christopher Marr, here today. We also have the Rhode Island Department of Ed Commissioner, Ken Wagner is here with us today, Commissioner. Along with the Deputy Commissioner, Ms. Mary Ann Snyder, is with us today. Good morning. And we have many other folks I'd like to welcome here today. Just a little disheveled. I need a bigger podium, which I'll get. I'd like to take just a special moment here to welcome and thank Council President Matos, who's probably taken 300 or 400 pictures today. Such a champion of our school. So Council President Matos. We also have Councilman Michael Correa, and I just want to highlight this just for a second. If you've been coming here for a while, and many of you have, most of you have, if you remember the condition of our gym in years past, people would actually approach me. Oh my God, Mr. Kerman, can I help with the gym? Can I help with the gym? Well, Councilman Correa and others came forward, and if you look around, our gym is as nice as any other in the city of Providence, if not better. So thank you, Councilman Correa. So the Gingerbread Express is, I think, just a perfect reflection of the debate family. I've seen Denise debate this morning. She probably, if she had a Fitbit, it would probably be at about 40,000 steps. So always want to welcome back Denise Debate, Josh Debate, William Debate, the entire Debate family. And I always like to remind our boys and girls, we're here at William Debate Elementary School. And I know none of you actually know William Debate, the gentleman that our school was named after. However, we do have somebody in attendance by the name of William Debate. Standing right here. This is William Debate. And boys and girls, the reason I want to always bring that back to the forefront of our attention is we have a responsibility. There's a responsibility that comes with attending this particular school. William Debate was a political activist in our community, stood up for those who needed some representation, stood up for those who needed something, and did such a great job of it for such a long period of time that ultimately the school was named after him. So we have to uphold that, and you do a great job of that, boys and girls, our faculty and staff. We really take that to heart and want to really make sure that the William Debate legacy, the entire debate family legacy carries on. At this time, if we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Beautiful. I pledge allegiance Thank you. If we could have a moment of silence. Every one of us has probably lost someone, not sure how long ago, but some of us, unfortunately, more recently than others. I know the city of Providence lost, a family had a significant loss recently. To all of our police and fire, first responders, and certainly to our military, we just take a minute to just remember how fortunate we are. Thank you. Boys and girls, can you help us now lead with the William Debate Pledge? I. Excellent. Please be seated. Some of you may or may not notice, but every year, again, this is our 28th annual Gingerbread Express. 28th annual. If you have something like this once or twice, you're lucky. 3 or 4 or 5 times, you're very lucky. 28th annual. And I know that since I've been here, the gentleman in front of me, Paul from Labor Vision, has been here recording this event. And he's here on behalf of the Rhode Island AFT and we're on AFL-CIO, which I messed up last year, and I apologize for that. This gets recorded every year, and throughout the year, people, hey, Brent, I saw you on TV, Brent, I saw you on TV. And that comes from friends, neighbors, family, political representatives, colleagues, other principals, teachers, educators, and anywhere I go, oh my God, I saw you on TV, I saw you on TV, I saw you on TV. And it's recorded here, and I really appreciate that because that then gives me another platform to speak about our school. And I'll try to be brief today, but I really am honored to speak about our school. And then it's recorded, and people see this, and they get to appreciate just how many folks step forward to help our school, to help our students, to help our families. So I'd really like to thank Frank Flynn, George Nee, my friend Paul here, for all that you do every single year. Thank you very much. I know we come here to celebrate our students and provide for them the best holiday possible. For me, my father was a truck driver, so I'm a little biased in this, but when I see the police escort, and I see the tractor trailer pull up, and the laborer's truck comes forward, and the back opens up, and there's all those presents, for me, that's, I have to admit this, that's the pinnacle for me. That's one of my favorite moments of the entire day. It's such a strong moment. The Teamsters truck, which I know my friend tried to help me with earlier. I fumble around a little bit. My friend Dennis over here is probably going to want to take me outside a little later. But my father was a Teamster. My father was a 30-year member of the Teamsters, and I really appreciate that, and that really hits for me. The police and the fire department, I don't know where we would be without them. They're such strong partners and just reassuring presence for us here in this particular community. I'll stop there. And I do apologize for anyone I missed. We have the highest student attendance in the city of Providence. I know some of you are saying, he said that last year. He said that the year before that. He said that the year before that. He said that the year before that. He's always saying that. Every time I say it, it's true. It's data driven. We get daily reports, we get monthly reports, we get end of the year reports. Our students, our families, we have the highest attendance in the city of Providence, or in the top 3 every single year. It's because we have great families who value education, and we have great students who want to come to school and learn and have the best future possible. Isn't that true, boys and girls? Yeah! So I want to thank our students and our families. That's not exclusive to debate. We're not the only ones who have that. So how do you achieve what we achieve here? We also have, for my money, the best teachers I've ever seen in my life. If you've been here a little while, you heard me say that when I first came here, I was 38 years old, and I thought I was going to be the principal of the school. I was going to run things. And they looked me up and down and they said, hey, welcome aboard, welcome to our school. And I was taken back by that a little bit because I wanted to say my school. I wanted to say I was the boss. I wanted to say this is how we were going to do things. But I didn't have to. It was already happening. They had the lead, they were out front. They were setting the tone. They were the models in the building. So I had the luxury and the privilege of just sitting back a little bit and trying to learn. And trying to see exactly what worked in our building, maybe what didn't work in our building, what could possibly work better. And over the course of the first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year, I'm in my 10th year now, I'm continually amazed, inspired, and humbled by our teachers. I can't thank you enough. Thank you very much. So what else? What else? We have extended learning opportunities for our students. Our day doesn't end at 3:30. Our day, for the majority of our students, more than half of our students, ends at 5:30. Because we have a 21st Century grant that provides extended learning opportunities 5 days a week, 7 to 8 months out of the school year, 5 weeks in the summer, and I could never thank Mr. Lanya enough for always being the spearhead behind our after-school program. Mr. Lanya works out of the Swear Center at Brown University. She rallies the troops, she's on campus, she's active, she's inspirational, she's motivational. We have 60, 70, over 100 Brown University Ivy League students who come here, whether it be during the day for tutoring in our classrooms, 5 days a week, whether it be for the after-school programs, 5 days a week, whether it be for the 5-week summer program. Again, we have over 100 students from Brown University involved at our schools supporting our students. So thank you to Brown University. Technology, wave of the future. For some of us slightly older folks, you guys work with that, we'll work with paper and pencil. But we know that for our boys and girls to get the high-paying jobs as they're coming out of school, they need tech skills. They need technology. Our teachers have begun stepping forward to take on this. They're venturing out. They're saying, listen, Brent, I'm going to try it. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but I'm going to try it. And I say, thank you. I'll walk in, things will be down, there'll be a problem. They're like, oh, Brent, I can't thank you enough for venturing out. The mayor's office has committed millions and millions and millions of dollars to providing every 3rd grader, 6th grader, and 9th grader with a 1-to-1 ratio with a Chromebook. That was a year or 2 ago. So every 3rd grader, 6th grader, and 9th grader in the city of Providence got a Chromebook. Last year, they added on the 5th graders, and I think several other grades as well. So every 3rd grader and 5th grader in this building has a Chromebook that when they open it up, it's their face. It's theirs. They use it all day, every day. Our school invested in blended learning last year so that we could bring forward personalized learning, blended learning opportunities. It's not good to have 25 kids in front of you and 1 lesson from 1 person. That's the way it used to be when I was in school. We had rows, you couldn't talk. It's not like that anymore. We do what's called a station rotation. Students are broken up into groups, 15, 20-minute blocks. After that 15, 20-minute block, maybe you're on the Chromebooks, you're with the teachers, maybe you're working with a book, paper and pencils. And then the bell rings, or the clock ticks, or a chime goes off, and boom, you rotate. You're getting personalized instruction. What she needs might not be what he needs. Fine, we have it now. We're able to get to them. We have the technology. We have additional resources. We were looking at our middle of the year scores the other day, the highest we've ever seen. And we're in a school that does well, and it's the highest we've ever seen. We're on the right track, and I'd like to thank everyone who supports that cause. Anybody heard anything about social emotional learning, meeting the needs of the students? Because, reading, writing, math, the 3 R's, arithmetic. It's so much more than that now. The challenges outside of school are just tremendous. You can't just expect somebody to sit down for 5.5 hours and concentrate on their academics. You can't just expect that. You have to support them emotionally. You have to support them in many different ways. Well, quite nicely, maybe 4 years ago, we established a relationship with the Center for Resilience, which at the time was Resilient Kids. We have mindfulness training in our classrooms. Our students K through 5, not in every single classroom yet, but we're growing towards that, receive social emotional training. You should see what it's like when a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, or a 9-year-old is kind of melting down. Not exactly sure how else to put that, but kind of really having a difficult time. All of a sudden you hand them a glitter jar. They know exactly what, they turn the glitter jar over and then concentrate and focus on that glitter jar. They go through a breathing technique. All of a sudden, you're not being suspended. You're not spending your afternoon on my bench. You've settled yourself. You got yourself back under control, focused on your academics, right back to class. Maybe that has something to do with our increased, academic achievement. Of course it does. Of course it does, and everybody knows it.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision. We appreciate your input and encourage your comments. Labor Vision can be seen on this channel 3 times each week, Tuesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., and Saturday at 5 p.m.